Live from Arkansas' streaming news leader, this is THV 11 Morning News at 7 on THV 11 Plus.
Good Friday morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us on THV 11 Plus. I'm Hayden Balgavy.
And I'm Karen Fuller.
And I'm meteorologist Simone Thomas, filling in for Tracy Bean this morning.
And you're delivering some nice weekend news.
You know,
folks.
I always like to take credit for the good forecast, and I push the bad forecast.
You should.
off
You
on
weren't
me.
just the
deserve it. You
messenger.
should.
Yeah. But, you know, Tracy and Ashley have the day off today. A good day to be off, a good day to be outside, and that's going to be the story for the weekend ahead. We are going to start out with a check-in of your traffic first before we get to the forecast. Here's a look at some of those drive times if you're trying to head to downtown here in the capital city. As we talked about just before the break, if you're coming from Conway, you're going to have the longest drive time, almost 25 minutes along I-40. Coming from Benton and Cabot, you have about an 18-minute drive time down I-30 eastbound and southbound on I-57. Now, still no incidents to report this morning, but as always, if that changes, you can have those updates right here on your THV 11 Morning News. All right, shifting gears to the forecast, we had a cold front move through yesterday, which is why we're going to see those cooler temperatures. But as that cold front hangs out in the vicinity of the state, we'll still deal with some humidity, moisture in the air that could prompt some spotty showers and storms. We have right now on radar some showers and storms across northern portions of Prairie County. Those storms not fairly strong this morning, just producing some gusty winds, maybe some heavy downpours at times. So again, northern Prairie County looking at some rainfall this morning. Otherwise, most of the state staying dry. Temperatures right around what we normally wake up to this time of year, some lower and middle 70s. It'll be through the weekend we see even cooler mornings. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But through the day today, fairly cloudy out there. We'll see a few streaks of sunshine later in the day, but definitely the big story is going to be that cool down. Temperatures this afternoon peaking in those middle and upper 80s, but when you factor in the humidity, it will still feel like the lower 90s, but it feels like of 92 is a lot better than it feels like of 112. So we're going to count our blessings, and I'll have a full look at the forecast coming up later on in the show.
All right, Simone, thank you. We are starting this hour with a breaking news update. In the last half hour, we have learned the court appearance for Andrew McGann has been pushed back slightly. Originally set for 7:30 this morning, now set to begin at 8:30.
The 28-year-old will be read all of the charges against him before a judge in Washington County, and that judge will also decide on his bond, which is not expected to be granted, meaning he'll stay behind bars through the eventual trial.
McGann was arrested Wednesday evening while getting a haircut in Springdale. Now, surveillance video you see here shows the moment he entered that salon. Soon after, plainclothes officers enter and handcuff him while he is still wearing the barber's cape.
McGann is charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of Clinton and Kristen Brink. The married couple was attacked and killed Saturday while hiking at the state park in the Ozark Mountains. The couple's young daughters were there but escaped and are now safe with relatives.
We are also learning new details in the murder investigation of the Brinks, and this case has not only shocked Arkansas, but shocked the nation.
Investigators are revealing some new information, and THV 11's Tamer Knight joins us. Prosecutors, Tamer, say the death penalty is not off the table in this case. What do you know about that?
Well, good morning, Karen and Hayden. Investigators say the suspect's confession during interviews, along with DNA, were the key pieces of evidence for this case. Now, Colonel Mike Hager with Arkansas State Police confirmed that blood collected at the scene of the double homicide matched that of Andrew McGann's DNA. In addition to the DNA, Hager says investigators found items at McGann's residence consistent with the murder of Clinton and Kristen Brink. McGann now awaits his turn before a judge this morning after the brutal killings. But as law enforcement reflects on their swift work to capture their suspect, they're also remembering the lives lost and those impacted.
We've spoken to the family quite a few times over the last several days, and what we heard consistently is what a loving mother and father they were, loving husband and wife that they were towards each other. They absolutely protected those girls to their fullest extent, to the point that it cost them their lives.
Now, police say Clinton and Kristen Brink's two daughters, ages 7 and 9, are safe with family. A GoFundMe has been created to help with the Brink's funeral costs and support for their family. Now, we will have eyes in the courtroom today for Andrew McGann's first court appearance. As more details on his charges and bond becomes available, we will have those details on air and on our website at thv11.com. For THV11 News, I'm Tamer Knight.
Tamer, thank you. We first reported that McGann had recently been hired as a teacher in Springdale, and that is what brought him to Arkansas. Now we're learning even more about his past. Before Arkansas, McGann was most recently a teacher at Sand Springs Public Schools near Tulsa during the past academic year. Before that, he taught 5th grade for a year at Broken Arrow Public Schools, also near Tulsa. A year before that, in what was his first teaching job after graduation from Oklahoma State University, was as a 4th grade teacher in the Louisville School District near Dallas. We're told, though, he left midway through the year over concerns over classroom management, professional judgment, and student favoritism, according to a district statement. And a Texas mother whose child was in McGann's classroom is speaking out. She says there were signs even then of inappropriate behavior. Sierra Markham says she met McGann in 2022 when her son was in his class. She says she noticed red flags early on. Markham says McGann displayed concerning behavior in the classroom, particularly toward certain students. She even filed multiple complaints, but says he was ultimately allowed to resign without any formal disciplinary record.
Eventually told me that him and some other classmates had noticed that Mr. McGann was very touchy and showed a lot of favoritism to certain girls.
The Louisville, Texas School District confirms McGann was placed on leave in spring of 2023. An internal review found no evidence of misconduct, but McGann was given the option to resign.
So again, we are awaiting McGann's first court appearance in Fayetteville. It was scheduled to begin around 7:45 this morning. It has now been pushed to around 8:30. That could fluctuate. We will see. And again, we have had a reporter live outside the jail all morning long. We will be getting an update in just a little bit live from Fayetteville as we continue to await McGann's first appearance in front of a judge. Also today, we'll be watching the State Board of Education as it meets to decide the future of a Quitman teacher accused of being involved in a hazing case. Michael Stacks, the assistant superintendent and athletic director for the Quitman School District, faces disciplinary action for locker room incidents by football players. Back in June, the board suspended football coach DJ Mars for a year after reports of bullying and abuse in the junior high football program. It helped lead to Eli's Law, which now requires audio recordings in Arkansas school locker rooms. The Professional Licensure Standards Board is recommending that Stacks be put on a 3-month probation of his teaching license. Today's meeting starts at 9 a.m.
And now let's turn back to Simone Thomas with a check of the roads this morning. How's it going, Simone?
Well, we still have no incidents to report, but we're going to take a quick look at those drive times. I know a lot of people starting to head towards downtown, and you know, we're in the 7 o'clock hour. So here's a look at some of those drive times to downtown. If you're coming from Chenal Parkway, you have to hit 630 eastbound. You have about a 15-minute drive to downtown. If you're coming from Benton and you have to hit I-30 eastbound, you have about a 17-minute drive. Out of the places listed on the screen, Cabot has the longest drive time of 19 minutes. Here's a look at that I-57 line along that exit 16 up in Cabot. We are starting to see more people on the roadways, but of course with the construction happening in this area, that is contributing to that longer drive time. Shifting gears now to your forecast, the day ahead looking to be cooler than recent days. We're only getting as high as the middle and upper 80s this afternoon with pretty overcast skies thanks to some of that humidity lingering around. Speaking of which, that humidity lingering around the southern half of the state as a cold front mix moves out of the state and that drier air starts to mix in. But in the meantime, while we still have the humidity, temperatures in the 80s, but it'll still feel like the lower 90s in the capital city. That'll be the case across much of southern Arkansas, Texarkana, El Dorado, Camden, locations just south of that cold front. Still going to see feels like temperatures in the 90s and lower triple digits. But look at north of that, definitely feeling a lot nicer for northern Arkansas. And through the weekend ahead, we'll see more of that, but we'll talk about just how long this cooler streak is looking to stick around in that 7-day outlook, and that's coming up in 6 minutes.